Hello and welcome to Wellbeing Gets Real. I'm Charlotte Jamison and I'm here today with Tom Faulkner from Pinnacle Health. Hi Tom, how are you?
Hey Charlotte, how you doing? Happy
Very
Monday.
well. Yeah, happy Monday. That's it. We're starting it off with a bit of positive emotion we were talking about before. Nothing like nothing like the feel goods to get you creative and expansive for the rest of the week. So thank you for joining me. Tom, you have two kids, is that right?
I do. I've got
Yeah.
a 6-year-old daughter. Her name's
Yep.
Willow, and my son Lenny is 2.5 or almost 3, and he's a bit of a terror, but he's good value.
There's quite a difference between the boy and the girl, isn't there? I remember, I mean, I don't think I've done anything different, but it's just we had a party the other day for my son, and I was like, wow, that's a lot. That's very different to a girl's party. Here I am thinking like, you can do this at home, no problem, you know. But boys, just they're bigger. They're just everything's bigger and
Yeah, there's
have
so
to
much energy.
entertain
Yeah,
more.
I
Yeah.
pretty much spent my morning just playing with dinosaurs and cars for at least an hour and a half after being at the gym. So I'm like I need a nap, but he's like, yeah, let's
Yeah,
keep
yeah,
going.
Energizer Bunny. And as long as you just make the noises of
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
oh, it's so funny, so funny. And both you and your wife work as well. So do you want to just spend a little time talking about your work? So I'm lucky enough to work with you or partner with you as well. So yeah, let's give Pinnacle Health a plug.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, well, yeah, I work at Pinnacle Health Group, which is a corporate wellness business. And basically what we do is we work with companies directly on either wellness centers or wellness programs, and we deliver that nationally for over 200 organizations in lots of different sectors actually, but we're sort of not best known for working directly with the banks like ANZ, Westpac, and EY as well as sort of our bigger clients.
Mhm.
So that keeps me busy I'm a former physiotherapist. So that's how I sort of started into Pinnacle Health Group, was the idea of basically helping people with their health and well-being, but in their workplace, which
Mhm.
was, a very convenient location going back a decade ago. So things have changed pretty fast in that time.
Yeah.
But still, the whole idea is to inspire healthy change in the workplace is our core, I guess, premise and sort of purpose in what we do. And then on the family front, my wife works full time as well, so she's sort of gotten back. She's a former emergency nurse, so she's great
Mm.
to have around with kids when things go wrong. But she's now she's in a territory management role in medical sales, I guess, is probably the
Yeah,
best
right.
way to put it. So yeah, between us two, we're pretty busy.
Yeah.
I guess everyone says that though with kids. So there's definitely tools and tactics to keep us sane throughout our week, and certainly some things that I've really intentionally developed in my routine to just to keep me in check, really. And I've certainly gone through patches in work. I think it was 5 years ago or 6 years ago, sorry, we doubled our size in our business and doubled our team as well, and that was a really rapid growth stage. And through that process, I just went a bit too hard, a bit too fast, and I um, didn't, I guess personally, I wasn't functioning at my best either. So that was a bit of a light bulb moment for me to, you
Mm.
can't be a well-being person and have shit well-being basically. So yeah,
Well, I mean, well-being does ebb and flow. It's the
correct.
reality is life, sometimes it does take a bit of a back
Yeah.
seat, but the awareness of it and just knowing what you can do to kind of get you back on track is the main thing.
Mm.
Well, I'm ready to hear what are your little go-tos? What keeps you in check?
Yeah, good questions, and had to given that a bit of a thought prior to discussing. But yeah, one thing, and I mean, it might, like, as I talk about these, they're pretty boring for me now to even be talking about because they're so embedded in my routine. But basically, in the morning, so my morning routine's pretty important to me and keep me sane and keep me sort of grounded in what I do.
Mm.
As I said before, I started my day playing with my son for an hour and a half, playing with cars. I kind of need my own space before I get into that. So basically, I go to the gym. I get up at 5:30 and I'll be at the gym just not long after that. So I do that every day, about 5 times a week.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's basically getting up before everyone else. I'll be at the gym for an hour. I go to Body Fit, which is like group training sort of set up, and I go there. I've got friends there as well, and we're literally there every morning. It's taken me about 300 sessions to get to that point where it's a genuine routine. So it's like a year and a bit of going and getting there and doing the same, very early class. But why that's great for me is that just once I've done that, I'll get in, I'll drive there, I'll drive back. And when on the drive back, I normally have the radio completely off. And then after I've done that class, I'll just do, it's maybe a bit of a thing that I've developed over time is I'll just make sure I do 10 deep breaths in the car on the way home before I then come back into the house. Because when I get home, everyone's up and about, and basically I then I give my wife a high five, and then she goes out and does the same thing at the same gym.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, we get a bit of shits passing in the night sometimes, isn't it, with some partners? But it sounds like you've got. Have you heard of Adam Fraser's third space?
Yeah, I have heard of
it. Yeah. So,
yes.
And that was lost in COVID so much. This idea of transitioning from one thing to the next and having that time and that space to reflect on where you've come from and sit with an intention of, how are you going to be and show up, playing cards with your son and that sort of thing. And it was so lost during COVID, but it's really nice to hear that you're intentionally sort of weaving that back into your life so that you can be there for your sons. And when you son and daughter, when you do give them that time and that focused energy, it really pays off in the end, because then they're happy to kind of go and do something else. It's when you push back all the time, you're like, no. They keep sort of, what you resist persists, and it's the same with kids, right?
Oh, absolutely. And kind of even just developing that routine, like it's some people say, I'll go to the gym every day, but I literally do. But it's taken me like 2 years to develop the habit of it. And I think people, when they develop or talk about habits, and I used to think, having structure was kind of almost, losing spontaneity. But I think what I've realized is that structure creates freedom, but more importantly, as a parent, it creates more intention behind your parenting, and a bit more, I guess, being more mindful when you're there and you're present. And so I think also why that morning routine for me is useful is I don't look at my phone basically until I'm closer to work time. So that first hour and then some is really myself by myself, and then with my family in that what can be a chaotic morning routine. But yeah, it's great to just be switched or not online in that period as well.
There's so much in that morning routine. It's that old adage of putting your oxygen mask on first, and that's the biggest lesson I learned as a parent was, I used to, and I'm a recovering martyr. So it was all about, everybody else, and let's be there for everybody else. And my morning routine can go to shit because, it's all about everybody else. And it wasn't until I started taking care of myself that actually the family got better.
Yes. Yeah.
And it was a really profound lesson, because, it was sort of, that's the way I grew up, with this, you put your family first. You don't, it's not about you. And so really taking that space and being okay with taking that space in the morning and making it that habit, as you say. And you mentioned that you've got some friends there, and I found that really cool because, and correct me if it's doesn't sort of resonate with you, but a lot of the guys around our age that I speak to, not all of them, but a lot of them have sort of lost touch with friendships. They're not as great as women as picking up the phone and having a chatter, or I've got this great WhatsApp group and we go away on girlfriend weekends, and it's just I find it's a rare thing that guys actually have a group of other guys.
I think you're right with guys. They're not as good as connecting regularly with their friends. I've got this amazing best mate that if there was who's your best mate, I'd still say it's him. He lives in Queensland, and I honestly haven't spoken with him for about 7 months. And
Yeah.
we'll call each other and miss each other's calls, and then
Yeah.
we finally get on maybe once a year or something.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's pretty ridiculous. But I think with the gym example, what that is really is that, like, through going to the gym, I've created some new friends, and it's literally partnering with the same couple of people each time. And just by being a bit more, I wouldn't say they're like the closest, like they're my closest friends, but just in the community, it's really nice to have people that I'll see out in the community, and the connection is through the gym, and they've also got kids in the same schools and stuff like that. So it's kind of almost that community extension as well, but through a gym. And it's, something, 50 minutes there, and then you move on, but you then see him again the next day. But you're right about guys; they're not as good as staying in touch. And also, I think what my wife does really well is that those regular catch ups that are kind of like those annual, catch ups with these certain groups of friends, and it's only really this year that some of my friends we've realized, actually, you know what, we're going to try and see each other a lot, but we're only going to see each other once a year. So let's try and set a date and do that well.
Yeah. Well, I love how you mentioned community, because that it's a lost art form in a way. I mean, we're social animals, and we thrive on those positive relationships, and we just don't have that ability to have that community as much anymore. Well, that's really cool. So what's another wellbeing habit? I mean, you've ticked a lot of things in that habit alone.
Yeah, well, I think it's trying to, like, with that one, it's me sort of bringing in a few things together. Hydration through that process is obvious as well, making sure that I smash a big bottle of water on the way home as well. But probably the other one that I'll mention, and it's again, it's quite a physical one, but it's not intended to be just a fitness one. But I ride my bike we've only got one car. We live in the inner west of Melbourne. And so I ride my bike everywhere. And what I do, so for school drop-offs and pickups, I'll throw my son on the back, and then my daughter will ride her bike. And so it's like a big procession of us through our little community. But that includes a drop-off of him, and then dropping her off on her bike. And why I like, and then I ride on to my workplace, which is about, I go there about 3 or 4 times a week, and the office is around maybe 10 Ks away, so maybe like a 30-minute ride. So by doing that, I guess I'm getting, there's a little bit of extra fitness involved. It is a slow, relaxed sort of ride for me, but why I like that one is the kids have become very interested in bikes, and so at 7:30 in the morning, they've got their helmets on, and they're kind of like, can we go on the bikes now? So it's kind of like a physical one, but as a bonding thing with my kids, it's really great because they're physically active as well. And I think it's because I've got the helmet on, also brushing my teeth, because I otherwise will forget to take my helmet when I leave.
There's role modeling there. It's so important for the kids to see that you're someone who moves, who just moves their body, because we kind of forget to do that as humans, even though that's what we're meant to do. And just role modeling that life can be fun. It's not just like shouty. It's like, put your helmet on, and let's it's the positive emotions. It's this it's this idea of like life can be pretty fun.
Yeah. I think as well on the bike, why I like it as well is that on the bike, you're looking at the things that you see. You might, like spotting the different. My son loves cars, obviously, because he's into his everything that's very male. Like, oh, red car, green car. Yeah, so it's all fun.
Garbage truck,
yeah. Pretty much. It's just really enjoying that process and looking around your surroundings and sort of being, I guess, present as well.
Yeah.
And the beauty of all that is that's sort of, I'm making it sound all like rainbows and unicorns.
Yeah.
It is kind of stressful as well, bringing all those kids with me. But then once they've dropped off, then I continue on to my work, and I get a nice 20 minutes again to myself. And so in my head, I'm planning my day or prioritizing what's actually important for the day, or listening to music if I can't be bothered thinking. So it's kind of like there's lots of good stuff in that commute, I think.
You're allowing your default mode network to kind of process what's going on and what's next. And yeah, there's nothing like moving your body whilst your brain processes all that to get more bang for
Exactly.
your buck. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah, good one. Very nice. Um, yeah, and hydration is, we sort of push it aside, but we're like 70% water. Our brains are 80% water. Like we need water, but
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
what do? We wake up, we have coffee. Not everyone, but I was telling you before, I was on this retreat last weekend, and
Yeah.
we had this golden elixir or something before breakfast, and I'm like, I could do this if it was just here. I would do this. I would have my golden elixir before I mainline the coffee or something. And so it was a nice reminder that this idea of hydration and just respecting what our bodies are made of and feeding it, especially
Yeah.
it's a good reminder when I have green plants all around, the house, like a true, um, like modern day woman.
Yeah.
My husband's like, oh my God, another green plant.
Yeah. Yeah.
Try and
Same here.
surreptitiously pop them in the corner there. No, that he doesn't notice, but I know when they're dying that it's a nice little reminder to be either like, oh, what's going on with me? Like I'm not having time to nurture the green plant, so I mustn't be nurturing myself as well. Like it's actually, I make it a bit of a nice reminder for me. So hydration is
Absolutely.
key.
Yeah,
Yeah, cool.
definitely. And I guess with all that exercise, that hour in the morning, which is more intense and sort of more intentional, and then the ride, I'm just sipping water that whole time, and I reckon I'm probably 2 bottles in definitely before
Wow.
work. So,
Wow.
but it's just because I'm moving a lot, and yeah, I guess I'm just thirsty.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And you've made it a habit as well.
Yeah,
And then that's good, not drinking so much at night, towards the end of the day, because yeah, bit
yeah,
annoying,
that's right.
disrupting people's sleep.
That's right.
Cool. Is there anything else you want to share there, or?
Yeah, they're probably my main ones that
Yep.
are, naturally quite obviously starting more with the physical aspect of that exercise, but it really, I guess, with the commute, it's allowing that time to think as well. And some of my best, I guess, my best thinking is done naturally in the morning. If I'm on the bike and I don't have any music on, and it's just my head, it's just I'm not. I'm really thinking through, yeah, what's important for the day, which is, it's all included in that routine of getting on the bike. And I guess, naturally with these two habits of either the gym or the bike and the commute, I've stacked quite a few things into it over
Yeah.
time so that it's just easy. And it's like it's so embedded in my routine that I don't even think about it. It was only when you asked me, what do you do? And I was like, oh yeah, there's a few things that I do.
That's good. Now that's why this podcast is actually so amazing, because it's so amazing, everyone. No, I'm finding it so amazing to hear what other people are doing. I'm loving it. So thank you for sharing. What else so springs to mind when you talk about, sometimes you don't have the music on, and that white space allows your brain to process what it needs to process, because we are just so bombarded all day
Mm.
long. And we need to be intentional about giving ourselves that absolute like off time. So it's nice that you've carved that in and allowed that to
Well,
happen.
yeah, and I think with a lot of people always talk about podcasts, and and to be honest, I'll go through patches where I'm right into it,
Mm,
and then there's patches where I'm just like, I just don't want to listen to
mm.
anything, and I know when
I don't
I'm
want to
in that
learn
mode of,
anymore.
yeah, I'm sick of learning. I'm sick of
Yeah,
consuming information. I
yeah.
just want to be with my own thoughts, just to see where I'm at. I think I kind of get like that at this time of year, to be honest, because
Mm,
being closer to Christmas, there's a lot going on. There's, thinking about work stuff, family, where are we going to have Christmas? Gee, I've got to get presents, all that stuff. It's just, you just got to like turn your phone off,
mm.
and not, consume music or podcasts or whatever it might be, and just give yourself a breather. And when I'm at my more consumed self, if I'm, I guess, in a bit more of an anxious or stressed state, that's where I'll actually then go to actually doing meditation at night and doing that. But at the moment, or for a long time, I haven't really done that intentionally, or spent that much time at night doing a little wind down meditation, because I feel like I'm kind of getting a fair bit of that in naturally through those other two routines that I do.
Yeah, yeah. You are with your bike ride and that sort of thing, the noticing the red
Mm.
car and that's all present moment sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, really, really cool. Something else I was gonna mention. Anyway, um, yeah, well, thank you for sharing all that. That's been really informative and yeah, I think realistic. We can
Yeah.
do those sorts of things. So that's really helpful. Now to wrap this up, what was a little ritual that you do with your family?
Yeah, one thing I'll say I've created. I haven't created dating, but I've basically decided to. This started with my daughter, and it's filtered into my to everyone else, or my son and my wife. But basically, the idea of dating your family members. So my daughter's name is Willow. What we did was we created Willow Wednesdays, which is basically every Wednesday we'll get on our bikes a little bit earlier. We'll go to a cafe. She loves croissants. So I buy her a croissant, I have a coffee, and we talk about our weeks or our day that's ahead of us, what she's looking forward to, all of that thing. Just really like when you think about it, you don't often sit with your kids one-on-one and say, how are you going? And this actually started because my son, who's 2.5, is getting all the attention, or at
Yeah,
least creating most of the attention
yeah,
towards him. So yeah, I just thought, all right, let's just start with Willow Wednesdays, which has been great because we're on the bikes anyway. We just we just leave a little earlier.
yeah.
But that's actually then I was like, oh, let's do this. I'm going to do this with Candace, my wife, and my son Lenny. And so basically, I've got a rotating date with each of them, which is realistically a fortnight with the other two. But Willow Wednesdays is the consistent weekly one.
Yeah, wow. Oh, that's so special. It's in those little moments of calm where the kids start to get a bit of verbal diarrhea, like they start to just tell you all the things
Yes.
that are
Yeah.
coming. And if you don't create those moments where they feel safe um and there's this certainty as well that I imagine Willow is like, well, I get time with dad and
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can, oh, that's so cool. I love that. Yeah, that's really important.
Yeah, she really likes it, and as you say, like it started off as a cool, let's just have a croissant and get out of here. But each
Yeah.
time, like I actually know more about her week and her day and what's
Mm.
going on with her friends at school. She's in prep, so it's an important start to the school year. And I just wanted to make sure that she, well, firstly knows that we're we,
Yeah.
because Lenny's a bit of a nutcase. It's not all about him. She needs
Yeah.
some attention as well, but also just understanding where she's at with her friends and learning and all that kind of thing. And so yeah, have a great chat now. She doesn't shut up, and then I go home and tell Candice, my
Yeah,
wife,
yeah.
what she tells me.
Exactly, exactly. I know it's sort of like, well, this is your safe space, but I am going to tell everything to your parents.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, that's so great. Well, thank you so much for sharing, Tom. And there's so many nuggets of gold. So we've got the morning routine that you do as a real habit now, and it did take you a long time to build that habit, but there's so much structure so much freedom in structure, as you say. So yeah, having that community when you go every morning, and that third space before you head back into the family of taking those deep breaths, and of course hydrating through the day because we need to feed ourselves. And then that little routine of riding your bike with your kids and that moment of movement, but also time to sort of switch off and let your default mode network do the work for you. So yeah, and just having a bit of fun as well. So that
Absolutely. Yeah.
sounds really great. Well, thank you very much for sharing, and yeah, looking forward to speaking to you again soon.
Thanks, Charlotte. That was great. Cheers.
Thanks.